So I want to tell you this story. I'm walking out of my office space that I've had since 2015. This ain't my whole office. I have rented an office here since 2015, and this story is very powerful. If you can't focus and you're pulling your hair out, man, listen, as an entrepreneur, as a creative, as a business owner, you need your, let's just say you happen to be a man, because there are a lot of women that watch my channel that are landscapers. That's so awesome. But let's just say a man needs a man cave, okay? And if you don't have that place where you can, if you don't have a place where you can focus and get your deep work done, then you will go insane and you will not hit the levels of that you're supposed to achieve in your life, and you'll be resentful and regretful and angry inside. So back in 2015, I couldn't focus. My dogs were always barking out the window, and my wife and I still lived in a small apartment, and I was trying to get my landscaping business to the next level and my media business, which is part of this YouTube channel, to the next level. And my wife, who's amazing, but she's vacuuming and putting dishes away, which is amazing, or saying my name, or she's on the phone, and we're in this small apartment, and then the dogs are barking, which is just normal stuff that happens in your house. And I felt like I was suffering and going insane, and I was searching on Craigslist and Facebook, and I needed an office space. So what I would do is I would go sit out in my truck for, a couple hours at a time with the truck running to get work done. But it was very disturbing to me because I was already spending multiple hours a week in the truck driving to landscaping jobs or sitting in the truck talking to customers. So the last thing I wanted to do was sit in the truck even more. So there's these studies in neuroscience that if you only have a small little tiny cubicle to work, you should face this way when you're doing client work, talking to clients and customers and doing like this work. You should actually turn your chair, if that's all you have, to this side when you're doing creative work, and then turn that way, so at least there's some type of change in environment, so the neurons in your brain that fire together wire together. And so you need to have environmental cues and triggers that tell you on an unconscious level to let the amygdala relax, to say it's okay to work. And every single time you get distracted, it will suck 20 minutes, because there's an onboarding ramp until your brain actually figures out what's going on, to where you can get into a focus flow state. And then there's an off ramp. So if you get like shocked by a dog barking or someone yelling your name or some distraction, you get out of that hypnosis, that self-hypnosis that allows you to do, maybe you're trying to prepare a whole bunch of proposals for clients. It's going to bring in a bunch of work. Maybe you're trying to write a thesis. Now, sometimes the most important work you can do is just sitting, being quiet, thinking, letting your subconscious mind reshuffle the deck like an hourglass, and all the crud just goes. And then only after have you completely relaxed with no distractions for even several hours, it could just not be 20 minutes, but several hours, does the ahas happen, right? So my point of what I'm talking about here is, even if you feel like you can't afford it, go lease an office space or find a place where you can have. Now, I've paid thousands of dollars invested to remodel my garage and turn it into an office space studio. And the walls are completely insulated. I can go out there and I can get work done. But it wasn't until after years till I was able to accumulate enough money to be able to invest. And because I had outgrown my tiny office, I got lucky. I got an office for they gave me a deal, $250 a month, but I'm talking, this thing was as small as the inside of my truck, but at least it was like a cubicle and a place to work. Then I got a more expensive office for $500 a month. That became too small. Then I was going to move up to $800 to $1,200 to $1,400 a month for a bigger office space, because office space isn't cheap, and I just could not justify the cost. But here's the most important part. It pisses me off when people talk about how they just went and grew their business, or they just went and invested in a shop space, or they just bought. It doesn't work that way for me. For me, it's many, many, many nights of researching, crunching math and numbers, getting the emotion and the courage up and then backing down and be like, no, it's not the right time. And only have I made decisions when things get so bad or so painful that the pain of staying the same is actually less painful than the pain of changing. Did you hear what I said? When the pain of changing actually is less painful than the pain of staying the same, you'll change. So it's a pain pleasure principle for me. I found myself every single weekend going around, driving around my town and my city and parking in parking lots, looking and calling different office spaces, terrified and pissing away a lot of time trying to get the money and the courage together. And at one point, it sounds like I'm like being like dramatic here, but I'm telling the truth. The suffering got so bad that I gave up, and I said, if I don't take a chance here, I'm never going to get this deep work done and get my business and life to the next level. So I went into this office space here. They had an office open. I filled out a 1-year lease agreement. I put down a deposit, and I came home and I told my wife, I'm like, I put down a deposit on an office space. I was so scared that night. I woke up in the middle of the night sweating, and I started typing an email begging them to cancel the lease and just give me my refund of like, it was like $900 down, because I was afraid I couldn't afford it. And I woke up the next morning and I forced myself to put one foot in front of the other. And in 2015, late 2014, 2015, and I forced myself to come to this office and just set up shop and bring my computer here, and my file cabinet, pens, pencils. And this is the place where I took my business to the next level. I wrote 2 books. The books became very successful. You can find it on Amazon at Keith Kalfas. The one book was How to Start a Landscaping Business Right Now with No Startup Money. My second book was The Window Cleaning Blueprint. It's called How to Make $500 a Day Cleaning Windows. And then I went on and wrote my third book, which is Your First Year in the Landscaping Business. You get all these on audible.com too. If you type my name in, Keith Kalfas, the books will pop up and listen to them. I promise you'll love them. And so I had to take that leap, and I'm encouraging you right now to take the leap. Find out where's the resistance in your life that's stopping you, and just crunch the numbers and the math and see if it's doable. And when you make the decision, sometimes it will open you up. Like let's say you got a landscaping trailer and you're like gonna invest like a lot of money, like $3,000, to put monster logos all over it with like your services and phone numbers, and get your truck magneted up, and get something like a moving billboard, and you're like, it's a lot of money. Well, you don't know. You could just be on a Thursday driving, and you're at a red light, and somebody sees it and takes down the number, and it turns into a $1,500 job. That turns into a recurring $1,500 job, and then the neighbor of that job wants a $4,000 job, and the neighbor of that wants a $15,000 job, and then you lock down that whole neighborhood, all because you had the guts to go out and jump and do that thing. Same thing with the office. My wife would call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, practically in tears, saying, when are you coming home? Now, I don't normally have this type of behavior. I'm home all the time. We eat dinner at the dinner table every night at 6 o'clock. We have date nights. But this time I was writing a book, and I was so sick and tired of my own procrastination that I said, I am not coming home until I've written at least one chapter of this book. Here's the funny part. If you read a book, there's a book called Deep Work. There's another book called The Art of War, and there's a book I'm reading right now called Do the Work. I would have to sit in this office, and I would get like these microwavable dinners and have cases of water there, and I would lock myself in this office for like 36 hours straight and sleep on the floor. But I was not able, like, she'd call me at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Have you written this chapter yet? When are you coming home? Your dinner's cold in the fridge. You never came home. I'm like, no, I haven't written anything. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm sitting here in full-blown anxiety with my hair standing on end, looking out the window, pacing around, doing push-ups, scrolling on my phone, looking at, she's like, why aren't you writing? I'm like, because I can't. She's like, why can't you? I said, I can't get myself. So she's like, whatever. I'm like, I said, I'm not leaving until here's what I did. After I was finally sick and tired, and I had nothing left but to face the work, somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning, after 8 hours of wrestling myself to the ground, And I told myself that my word is law. I'm not leaving. It could be with anything. It could be with anything. I'm not allowed to leave this office. I don't care. I'll sleep on the floor. I'm not leaving until I write one chapter of this book, period. At some point, I finally gave up and threw in the towel after 8-9 hours of this shit. And then I laid down and took a nap. And then I got up. And then I'm like, well, I got to go pee now. Now I'm hungry. Now this, okay, you ain't leaving until you write a chapter of the book. And I don't know what happened or how it happened, but I finally realized I wasn't getting out of this. And I opened up the Google Doc and I just started typing. And they say when you write a book, it's like bleeding on the keyboard. It's not easy. But then after I started typing, I got into a flow state. Then I got excited and all the resistance went away. And I typed like 2.5 chapters. And I did this over and over and over. And there's one other thing I want to say, because I'm just talking about a book, but you can relate it to anything, right? Balance. There are times in your life, if you do total self-care, you're getting your proper 8 hours of sleep, proper nutrition and hydration, and spending time with your family, and you're going to all the family events and doing the things on Sunday and making sure you're on top of all your laundry and your truck is perfectly clean, you're on top of everything. You are probably not going to get the deep work done and really excel in certain other areas because you're overly balanced. I think it's the times when you become obsessed. Like, think about around how the holidays and Christmas you spend, and Thanksgiving, you might spend a lot more time with family, right? In the middle of February when it's freezing out, I'm in Michigan. You might spend a lot more time laying around on social media and watching Netflix and hanging out with your family or being bored or depressed. In the summer, I'm a landscaper. Come June, July, August, we're out there. That's all we're doing is landscaping nonstop. And there's so many things that don't get done around the house. They just pile up until the winter. Like right now, I'm remodeling my basement and doing all these things that I couldn't get to during the summer. So if you look at balance and circadian and ultradian rhythms, maybe there is actually a balance to that, but it's not on a day-to-day scale. If you zoom out like on the year, everything actually gets done. It just gets done in different allotments because you only got 24 hours in a day. So just to be clear, it's like go easy. Don't be so hard on yourself as far as beating yourself up. If you want to do something, you don't have to do it all right now. But my friend Rob taught me this. He said you can lean in the direction of what you want, and you keep leaning and leaning and leaning. So, for instance, like getting an office. I kept leaning in the direction of getting an office for like a year and a half. Until I finally broke that wall, and now it's years. I would never go. Actually, I'm sorry, I downgraded my office to a virtual office space, so I have access to offices that I share with my co-tenants or whatever you call them, because there's like lawyers and accountants and psychotherapists and different people that have. So, but I don't have my own complete exclusive office because it's a waste of money now, because I've remodeled my garage into an office, and we're turning half of our basement into an office space now too for more work. But I continue to have the virtual office space, and I would never go back, right? And it's not that expensive because of the access of what it gives you. So, and think about this, like if you have a Formula One race car in your garage and you never drive it and you never take it out of the garage and it just sits there, people are like, why do you have that thing? But let's just say once a year there's a race and you get that thing out and you get it started and warmed up and do a couple test runs, and now you go up against everybody and you win a race. That makes you $50,000, and then you go put it back in the garage and under the cover in the garage, and nobody can ever see it. And I'm like, why do you have that thing? They're like, oh, because it wins me races. It's like a surgeon's tool. It's a very specific thing. It's like having a $5,000 Mac computer that has some really high-end video graphics processor and like 128 gigs of RAM or something. Why do you need such a crazy computer? Well, maybe you do something on it like high-end gaming, or you edit, 8K video, or you do something that requires a lot of multitasking, and when you need it, it's there. I'm really becoming fascinated by this because I've grown up truthfully brainwashed by people that are broke to clip coupons and think in scarcity and never ever do anything or take any chances and do anything cool. And the people that I get around that are really successful think totally different. They think in terms of investment. They think in terms of leverage, right? Leverage. So something like empowering yourself by paying attention to your environment is a form of a leverage. Okay, I hope that serves you. Let me know in the comments below if you have an office space. Also, how long did you have it? Do you have a shop space for your business? Do you actually have a place that you've built out? Do you have a piece of land, or do you just run it all out of your house or out of like a trailer? When we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, I ran my shit out of a storage unit. $130 a month for a storage unit. I was good to go. So what do you do? And what is the next leap that you need to take this year to allow you to do that, so you have a proper place to run your business? You have to have a place to run your business, because the reason I got a storage unit is because I was putting backpack blowers and chainsaws in our front room of our 1-bedroom apartment, and our whole apartment smelled like 2-cycle gas and oil, and my wife is like cooking dinner and literally looking at a backpack blower and a chainsaw and a weed whip in the fucking front room. It was weird. And that's when I went and got a storage unit. That's when I first started my business, because I would carry it in from the truck every single night. Because I was afraid it was going to get stolen because they were trying to steal it. So anyways, environment. Invest in your environment. Invest in your environment.